I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give Land Rover another chance. This Defender OCTA is being provided by the Land Rover of Lehigh. They have several in inventory right now, so if you're looking for one, just reach out to them. Make sure to ask for Casey. Okay. There are 2 powertrains within, well actually 3 within the Defender that I just cannot stop thinking about. The 3-liter inline 6, the 5-liter supercharged V8, and the 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 that's in this OCTA. I love how smooth and efficient the inline 6 is. I love how rowdy the 5.0 V8 is. Unfortunately, it's going away. And then this twin-turbo V8, it's just insane. It's a BMW drive powertrain, and BMW, they don't necessarily make the best cars, but they do make the best engines. As always, if you're looking for more straight-to-the-point videos like this, and then obviously reviews, make sure to subscribe. Now, the next thing that I miss from Land Rover with the Defender is just the look of these things. I love everything about it aesthetically. Now, I get that the modern checker plates, like this is literally forged carbon, not necessarily the most functional thing on the planet, but they still look really cool. And then this whole front end, and obviously the OCTA is the most aggressive version of the Defender, but all of the Defenders just look cool. And I love with the OCTA specifically that you can now fit 33-inch tall tires. With the Defender, one of the limiting factors for me as an off-road enthusiast was the tires. Now this one obviously has the street tires, but you can get these with a 20-inch wheel and a 33. Not the best setup on the planet for off-roading, but it's actually more than good enough. People crap on it a little bit too much. And let me tell you, every single time I drive one of these Land Rovers, I love the air suspension. And this new OCTA with the hydraulics, it's on a whole nother level. It has officially ruined me as a person. Like, do not drive an OCTA unless you're gonna buy one, because nothing else will drive quite like this. Like, the suspension's just good. And did I mention these things look cool? Especially the OCTA. I mean, again, look at the wide body that this thing has. It is one of the most aggressive vehicles from the factory. And one of the things that I love is it's aggressive without being cartoonish. Like the Ford Bronco Raptor, you guys know I did a test on that a few years ago. That just, I don't know, kind of looked cartoonish with its wide body. This looks more sophisticated. Now there's actually surprisingly something out back of the Defender that I have missed as well, and that is this. The cargo areas in these are so easy to clean. You don't have to worry about like banging them up and all of that. It's just a really good setup. Also, I mean, a lot of modern cars have outlets, but outlet in the back. And the space vertically is also great. And I just like swing gates. It's much preferred, in my opinion, to a hatch, because I like having unlimited vertical space when I load something in, so I don't have to worry about hitting it. So that's just nice. These things can tow like 8,000 pounds, which is great. That's what I do a lot of towing with my LX in the 6,000 to 7,000 pound range. And then the angles on these Defenders are so good. It's one of the few off-roaders where I never had a ground clearance issue. And did I mention that these things look cool? Because they just do. Now, something else that I miss with the Defender, now that I've been doing a lot of body on frame SUVs, is the space. Like the legroom you get in the back of these, and just the overall vertical space and everything, because it's unibody construction, it's incredibly nice. And believe it or not, I actually miss like the Land Rover build quality. Like the doors just always have a solid sound to them opening and closing. And the materials, they feel rugged but then luxurious. And I actually have now tested out these body and soul seats. They are a gimmick, but you actually kind of feel like you're at a rock concert with these seats, where you literally feel the music rather than just listening to it in the car. Steering wheel design, perfect. I love the interface in these. It's just modern, gets to the point, heads-up display. And then the infotainment system, it is kind of popped onto the dash, but it just works with the overall boxy theme. And then this is one of the few modern cars that still has a bunch of physical controls. You know, like the Ineos Grenadier also has a bunch of physical controls. But I mean, all of this just has a nice kind of tactile feel to it, and I don't know, it's engaging. And it has a 2-speed transfer case. This is one of the few unibody vehicles that has a 2-speed transfer case. This is so useful in terms of just carrying stuff around. And then refrigerator center console. Now the one downside about this compared to my LX is just the overall space. The LX center console is a little bit bigger with the refrigerator, but this is still quite large. And I like also the fact you can do that with these. And this does have some nice modern tech like camera rear view mirror, and then it's got a panoramic center. I never use that. Headliner's kind of fancy on these. Here's the deal. Land Rover has made a lot of meaningful changes to the Defender since I owned one to make the vehicles just more robust, more reliable. So let's take this out, drive it, and I'll just tell you guys the whole story, and let's try to make a decision. So here's the deal. It's been roughly, not quite, in the end of August, it'll be about a year since I purchased that LX that I'm doing the long-term powertrain test on. And that means I have finally been able to somewhat financially recover from buying that vehicle, because my goodness, that vehicle is expensive. Bankrupted me nearly. And of course, now that I'm in a position where I feel a little bit more comfortable with the finances, because when it comes to cars, I really haven't spent any money for a year. I obviously bought my wife that Sequoia, but that was a straight trade for the Jeep to the Sequoia, so I didn't really spend any money. And so it's like, yeah, man, things are finally feeling comfortable. There's the LX, by the way. I should go spend more money. I should go dig myself into another hole financially. That's the best way to live life. No, I think things aren't bad. I do smart stuff. I do some investing in this and that. I don't really talk about this stuff because this channel's about cars, but like, I've been smart enough. Smart enough. We'll just leave it at that. I cannot stop thinking about Land Rover since, and my wife, same thing. Like, she literally, I'm filming this video because it's after 6 o'clock, and I usually get done with my reviews before now. She sees that I'm at the Land Rover store. She's like, hey, you buying me a Defender? She wants another one so bad. So here's my proposition to you guys. And actually, we'll start from the beginning. When I first started the channel, I thought that I could only do like more affordable vehicles in terms of long-term tests, because I figured that if it was a more expensive vehicle, people wouldn't be interested, because it's just like, you know, not attainable, that's boring. And then I bought the Ram TRX, and the Ram TRX is like, you can stretch to make it work, but for most people, like, it's a truck that it's just never going to work financially. It's just too much money. And I was shocked at how many views the Ram TRX series got. And so that kind of showed me that, oh, if I buy a vehicle that is a little bit out of reach and I use it, and I'm not I can't think of a better word, I'm not a douchebag about it, right? I feel like I've shown over the years that I'm just not like a status symbol person. I'm not like, oh, I have a big fancy car, so I'm not that person. I sleep on the floor. I work on the floor too, frankly. I did the math the other day. I spend 12 hours a day on the floor between sleeping and then editing videos. Because yes, I don't even have a desk anymore. I've simplified my life. I actually do have a desk. I should say I don't use my desk anymore. Anyways, that kind of shocked me. And the LX has also shocked me, because I was really concerned buying that car. I was like, I think this is a good move for the channel, because nobody else on YouTube, right? Tons of people on YouTube will buy, you know, Land Cruiser, 4Runner, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, nobody's going to buy the LX. So I'll kind of have a little bit of a, you know, unique niche where I'm the only person long-term testing this. And I think it has worked out, because the LX series has been more popular than I thought it would be. And so here's what comes in the Defender and potentially the Octa. So here's the two options I'm looking at. Option one is buying the Octa and doing a long-term comparison series with this against the LX. So not selling the LX, continuing to long-term test the LX, mileaging it out, and mileaging out one of these Octas. And giving Land Rover and Lexus, you know, the same maintenance benefits. So 5K oil changes, and using the vehicles for towing, off-roading. I don't know how I'm not going to buy one of these. Well, my bank account says otherwise. Anyways, all of that stuff. And the way that I can make this work financially is with the LX. I did the math, and if I keep that car for 100,000 miles and, you know, roughly, depending on how long 100,000 miles takes, 3 to 5 years, it's going to cost the channel somewhere around $30,000 to $40,000. And I did the math on the Octa, and it came out to $40,000 to $50,000 roughly. Now again, it could be more, it could be less. It just depends on what the market does with the vehicles. And so spreading out that cost for a business over the course of 3 to 5 years, it's expensive, but it's not like for a business expense, you know, it's not that crazy. So that's option one. Option two is to do multiple long-term tests alongside the LX, and I'm just providing this option, even though I don't know. I really want to do it because I don't want to have so many cars in the garage. I hate having so many vehicles. But anyways, getting a 2027 Land Cruiser, getting a 2026 or 2027 Ineos Grenadier, and, you know, maybe a 2027 Defender, because obviously those vehicles together is like less money combined compared to like Octa and LX. And then, so this wouldn't happen immediately, this would happen later down the road. Doing kind of like a long-term test series with those multiple vehicles. I don't exactly know what that would look like, but it'd also be, yeah, a lot of cars to have to park and maintenance and everything. And then obviously option 3 would be buy nothing and just put heavy miles on the LX in the short term, like I have been doing. So, I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I'm not gonna make any decisions anytime soon, but I do think there's potential for the content on YouTube if I do a comparison series with this versus the LX. It is extremely stressful for me to think about because of the money involved and all of this, and then the fact, like, if the series fails from a viewership standpoint, it's stressful. But at the same time, nobody else is doing it, right? And this is what I'm gonna close the video with. I've been kind of going back and forth on these luxury long-term tests since I did the test with the Defender a few years ago and now this LX, because they do way better than, you know, they would, I don't know, that you'd think they would do. Because on paper you're thinking, oh, there's just not that many people buying luxury cars, but because everyone and their dog has a YouTube channel dedicated to their vehicle, there's so many people that have videos on their new 4Runner, their new Land Cruiser, their new Grenadier, their new Wrangler, Bronco, whatever it may be. And so there's so much competition from a viewership standpoint. It's like, I can go and put 50,000 miles on an Ineos Grenadier, and there's already several people that have posted videos of their 50,000 mile reviews on that car. Whereas stuff like the LX and the Octa, you know, the people that buy these cars, they don't care about making YouTube videos, because a lot of them have so much money. I've met people that buy these cars. They have so much money that, like, the time it takes to make a YouTube video and the amount of money it doesn't earn, not worth it for them. They're much better off continuing to their investments or their businesses, whatever they might have. So, I don't know. It might be, actually I need to go a little bit closer. It might be one of the dumbest things that I do if I do it, but at the same time, I want to hear you guys' input. I think the series could be really, really cool long term, because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody else is going to have direct comparison of Lexus/Toyota's top dog against Land Rover's top dog. Like, which is the most reliable? Which is the best to drive? Which is the most expensive to maintain? Which is better off-road? Which is better with towing? Like, there's so many things that I do nowadays that I didn't do when I first started the channel. They're like, if I put 100,000 miles on both the vehicles, like, they would be used. You know what I mean? Let me know your thoughts.